Rails blog nested forms lab review. I pulled the lab a few minutes ago, and all I've done so far is run a bundle, and we're just gonna get started. So first thing I'm gonna do when I take a look at this lab is I'm just gonna do an RSpec, see what I'm looking with, and I'll see that I have a migration pending. So yeah, I am recording it right now, yeah. So I see that I have a migration pending. So I'm going to actually look at those migrations. I'm not just going to migrate without seeing exactly what I have to work with. So I see that it's creating a posts. It's going to have a string and context, and posts are going to kind of belong to a user. I can see that it has a user ID column there. I can look at this create users. It's going to have a name. I can look at create tags. Also have a name, and I can look at post tags, and I can see that this is a join table to relate post to tag. So I have an understanding of kind of how my models are working together. So now that I'm going to do that, I'm going to run migrate. And I'm also going to seed my database. So since we're working with forms, I'm just going to pull up a server right away so we can actually see exactly what's going on. So I can see this for those of you who were in the lab review yesterday. This looks really similar. This is pretty much exactly where we got to at the end of the day. We can make a new post. We can add content. So I have Groovy post, Groovy content. Now I want to have a Groovy tag because this is a Groovy post, but I have no tag for Groovy posts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put excited or enthusiastic here and create a post, and then we'll go through how we can add our own tags that aren't already in the database. So let's go back to posts new, and we'll start here. So we now on our posts form, right, want to be able to add a tag. So we want to be able to create a new tag. So the first thing we want to do, the first thing I'm going to do because I always forget it, is to say that the post model can accept nested attributes. This is a post form. It's still going to the post controller. So we need to make exceptions in the post model so that we can actually access that particular thing. So let's go to post.rb. And I'm going to add the line accepts nested attributes for. I'm going to say tags. Right? I've heard some questions about pluralization. How would you know this is plural? That's the relationship between posts and tags. There have many. So you can say have many tags right here. This is the same way you refer to tags in that model. So that's how you're going to refer to it here. Right? Cool. Next up. What do you guys think we should do next? Yeah. Yeah, cool. Let's build out that form, right? So we remember that the form partial right here is where the form for posts is living. So we can actually go in and add our form here. So again, this whole page, right, is a form post, form for at post, right? So now we want to add a nested form, as you may have guessed since that's the title of this lab. So we're going to add a nested form here. So let's do that, right? So first I'm going to set it up like the other ones are. And now within this, I want to build out my nested form. Does anybody know how to build a nested form in Rails? Sure. Yeah. So we can actually use fields for, and our form essentially is a block, right? What does this look like right here at the very top? You have form app post do f. F is a form item, right? All of these are f.label. So you're calling methods on the particular form item for this particular thing. So we're going to have just a nested one of those, right? So we are going to use, let's say, yeah. We're going to use, I don't know, form for, yeah. That seems reasonable. So we're going to use fields for, right? So it's not a form that we're building, it's just fields of a form. So we can actually set that up exactly how we want. And if you look at the README, our resources have a great example. We can look exactly at this. And we can see how we want to build that kind of thing. So fields for permission in this example, permission fields, and we can actually just build this out ourselves. So let's go right to the thing, and we can say fields for tags, do tag form. You were right, I did. So this is actually an item in the form. Thank you for reminding me of that. So yeah, this is an item in the form, so it's still in the form. We have to call it. Fields for is a method that acts on this object that we have right here. So now we can add the second field, say f. Now we're using tag form, right? Because we're in this subform. Dot label name. And other than that, it's pretty much the same. Once we're in this subform, now we can end this form right here. And set up our proper indentations. And we're good. Now we have this form right here. So let's actually go check it out, right? We'll see that it's not there. So what is this form here relying on that we... You're using here? Okay. So this form is relying on a tagged object, right? We don't actually have that access to that on the page. So since we're working in the post controller, we don't have tags here. So we have to go and add that to the controller. So in our new route, we're going to say at tag equals at post.tags.build. Right, so this is going to build a tag for us to use on the page. So now that we have that, this form is actually working. So this form is for a particular tag that we didn't have before. So we're building it now in the controller. It's the same way we're setting up at post on the page. So this is a new tag, and it's all going to be associated to that form since we're using, yeah. What? So it's going to be saved when you call create, right? Because it's going to save its associations. So right here is actually where it's being saved. Right now, we don't want this to be saved. If this form doesn't get used, if at tag is never used, we don't want that to be saved. Unless someone actually creates it when it goes to create, and it's going to create it from there. Does that make sense to you guys? Cool. So now we have our form. And we have our model right here that's accepting nested attributes for tags. What else do you think we need to do? So it's still tag, right? So tag is still validating uniqueness. Tag can't be created unless unless it's not, if it's not unique. Anybody? I think I heard a mutter or two of it. Yeah, cool. So how do we actually add it to permit, right? We know that we have to go into our post controller and add it to our permitted params here, right? We don't know exactly how we want to do that, right? We've built this form. So let's actually just take a look at the params before we do that so we can see the format that we want to have it in. So I'm going to put a binding in post params, and I'm just going to submit a post request. Tag for another. Create post. Should hit my binding right here. Now I can see that it's coming in as tags attributes, and it's giving me a hash, right? So that's pretty similar to tag IDs that were kind of being added before, except that one's just giving me an array. So is this better? Can everybody see this? Cool, so we have tags attributes here, so now we need to add tags attributes, and we have tags IDs that are coming over there for selected ones. So let's exit this, get back to our server, let's do this here, and say we want tags attributes, and this was enough for tag IDs. However, this time it's again a hash where within that is the name, so we need to actually pass it a symbol. Now this is going to give you, let you access this particular thing. Cool, so let's run it one more time and let's see if it works now. Let's go back to new. Making sure that I'm not using an example that's already there. So now we have that, and awesome. So we've now created our tag. It comes in, and we can, we can make our own tag nested under this particular thing. So let's run the spec and see how it goes. Cool. Failing. Let's take a look at why. So failure, fill in name with witty, capybara element not found, unable to find fill name. We know that there's a name field, right? We know that there's a place for us to put this particular form. So we can check it on the actual page. We see that there's this name field. We know that this is what it's looking for because this is the point of the lab. So how can you kind of figure out what the spec wants you to do here? You want to actually read the spec, right? So let's go to that spec. So the first one is saying it can create a post without a new tag. So that happened already. We're done. We know that it can pick a post and add and create it, whatever, and it can add a tag here. Now it can create a post with a new tag. So first it's visiting post that's new. This is the route that we've been working on. Within all field.first, it says fill in name with post 1, fill in content with post 1 content, and then it ends that. Now it says within all field.last, do fill in name with witty, right? So field.last is the thing that's tripping us up on this thing. If we look at our form file, we have 3 fields on the page. But the last one is this collection checkboxes. Right? So it's expecting that we added this field to be the last field on the page. So the spec is expecting this, which is why that's not working. So we have two options. We either change it here, and we run the spec, and we'll see that they both work. Or, you know, we can change the spec to work. But again, specs are generally thought of as you know, they can be requirements that you have. They're a promise that you're making to yourself if you're writing your own specs, or they're a blueprint for how somebody wants you to build this app if there's specs that somebody's designing for you. So it's good to be able to kind of get in the habit of diagnosing why a particular spec is failing. Cool. So we've now built our nested form, and let's actually just take a look. Yeah. Do you have any other fields on the page? This? Or the... Maybe you have like a syntax error in there. I'm not sure.
Post it and the new takes you, it doesn't render.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll take a look at that after. You could have a typo somewhere, or you know, misspelling of some kind. So, but while we're all still here working together, let's take a look at the actual HTML that this is generating, right? So we have this, you know, class field, all this stuff before, and then now we have this nested field. So we saw how it structured the params before, but what actual HTML gets built when you do this? So let's take a look. So here's our first div, right? We can see up top, this is the first field, saying label for post name, name. It's all these, you know, hidden fields, your session, you know, session key and your values. We can see that the name is post content text area. Cool. Let's take a look at the nested one now. Post tag attribute 0 name, that's one that was built, so this is a form specifically for that tag that we created earlier, and it's saying post tag attributes 0 and then name. So we've got access to all of this information kind of when we need to look at it. Here's another field for those checkboxes. This one's a lot bigger. But it's just useful to understand exactly what HTML is being rendered, because these are just Rails helpers, right? This is building HTML for you, so we don't have to type all of this stuff, you know, every time you build a form. Awesome. That's it. This is a quick lab review. Anybody have any questions? Thank you.